Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another How About Them Celtics video segment out here recording on Friday, September 6th, talking about Mr. Sam Hauser. Now, I say the name Sam Hauser, Sam. You probably think of shooting for obvious reasons.
I actually
He
think
shot
of how
40%.
everybody calls him by his first name instead of by Hauser. So I always think that
It's true.
comments are about me
Yeah.
for at least half a second. There was one that was like, if Sam puts on muscle, I was like, oh shit.
I
And
thought
then
that was also about you.
Yeah, I
Until
did
you
too.
just said that, I really thought it was about you.
Quit referring to him in our comments as just Sam. All right.
But yes, we're talking about his defense today, though. I actually wrote about it multiple times throughout the season. I wrote about it during the Heat series because Drew Holiday said our white guys can guard. I wrote about it earlier in the season about a Hauser Island piece. An NBA University put up a tweet about Sam Hauser's defense recently that our pod's own Joey Spatulas sent me and said, you guys should do a video on this. So Joey Spatulas, we're doing a video on it. Thank you very
Shout
much.
out to the Spatula Man.
Shout out. But this is the little mixtape video NBA University put together with some stats. They wrote, one of the best things about this NBA year was watching guys size up Sam Hauser like he was barbecue chicken just to get swatted, throw up a brick, or turn the ball over. Boston's team defense notably does not sell out to help Sam. When he's on an island, they know he's solid. In 97 defensive isolation possessions, he had a 9.3 defensive isolation turnover percentage and 47% defensive isolation effective field goal percentage. Both pretty good numbers, especially considering he's a guy that people targeted a lot. Like, you're seeing guys go red at him, bump him in the chest, and he's sticking with them, either forcing them to turn the ball over. He gets blown by a decent amount, but he recovers well, and the team helps him recover well once they get into the paint. Like, you can see them ready to at least send a little bit more pressure. But the reason the Celtics were able to be so consistently dominant in the playoffs in the regular season is because they didn't sell out. They didn't help him. They didn't help Pritchard. They just lived with those shots because they know that those guys are solid enough that even if the guy does make the shot, he's going to have to throw up a tough one. And it's not worth selling out and giving up an open three because of it. And honestly, that's kind of a reason why the Mads made the finals, is because those teams sold out to Luka so much that he could just dime up other guys. So shout out Sam Hauser. Like, if he's not this good on defense, the Celtics can't play the brand of basketball that they play. And that's huge.
Yeah, and Sam Hauser, in his probably sneaky good defensive abilities, really gave us some of the greatest quotes of the season. You had Joe Mazzulla just be like, yeah, even though he's white, he can play defense. Like, nobody wants to say it, but that's why teams go after him. And then Drew Holiday coming out and being like, yeah, our white guys can play defense. It's pretty crazy. Two fantastic quote card quotes that came from him bringing it in that category. So I'm pretty happy about it. And going forward, it's going to be a really big thing for the Celtics because they paid him. They extended him this summer. So he's going to be around a while. We were mentally preparing ourselves and doing a lot of content centered around who's going to step into that role. Is it going to be Drew Peterson? Are they going to draft somebody? Well, it turns out it's going to be Hauser on what, $9 million a season for a couple years.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good for a guy that's an elite 3-point shooter and somebody who is not going to be a liability on defense and is probably far better than anyone thinks. Like, him looking the way he looks is a cheat code because guys are like, we have to go at him. So you get the opposing team to waste 2 to 5 offensive possessions a game just by trying to go through him. And it just doesn't work.
This is a silly way to look at it, but if you're paying a player less than the amount of points he averaged / can average in the season, it's probably pretty good value. Again, very silly way to look at things because it's much deeper than that, but like, he's going to average probably 10 plus a season next year, and you're paying him less than 10 million a year. That's a win. I wrote about Hauser Island way earlier in the season for Celtics blog when I was writing for them. Shout out Celtics blog, obviously. It was January 15th. And Joe Mazzulla said, I think he's a much better defender than people think. I can't say why or else I'll get in trouble. And then he just talked a lot about how good of a defender he is, how they always trusted him, how they always thought he was better. I included some clips here where you can see how fun the clips were. This is Dylan Brooks trying to back him down for about 30 seconds and then just throwing up some garbage. I think I pulled these all from the Rockets game because this was after they played the Rockets. But Mazzulla said, I always thought he could guard. I always knew he could be a good defender. And the more people attack him, the more reps we get for the playoffs. So I hope they continue to do it. Luckily for him, they continued to do it. And then in the playoffs, it paid dividends because he had to guard guys in the playoffs. I haven't looked yet, but I'm curious to see matchups from the finals Like
He had a
I want to
couple
see
really
how
great
often.
possessions on Luka
Yeah,
that I
and then he
specifically
choked.
remember. Like, I think even maybe in one of your 3 things articles, it was something you keyed on at the time. I'm trying to think of
Mm,
exactly where it came from, but we talked about it plenty on this show. It was like major momentum swinging possessions of him being like, actually, yeah, no, you can't just cook me. Like, you can't target me. And it led to Dallas making mistakes. It was part of those 2 to 5 defensive possessions that are free for the Celtics because teams just assume that Hauser can't guard. And he did a pretty
mhm.
solid job, and it was pretty good momentum, especially in the home games when he would get those stops.
Yeah, I'm slowly finding my way through the matchups. Right here, it took me a while, and the NBA is
Worst
giving me
website of
ads.
all time
Um,
for stats.
let's see, defensive player Hauser. He guarded PJ Washington the most throughout the playoffs. He held him to 0 of 3. Let's find the stars. Where's Luca at? He guarded Luca for 50. Okay, well, Luca shot 10 of 15 against Hauser, so probably not the best example you could have given. But I mean, it does show you how adamantly Luca was of attacking him, and it's not ideal, but they lived with it, and it clearly worked out. And I guess if you really want to get into the gritty details of it, all of those 10 shots were twos. Versus if you helped over, he'd probably get threes. And if the Celtics are willing to live with that math, they're willing to live with that math. The he got a pretty 3 against him. Jaime Jaquez, Caleb Martin 1 of 4, Karis LeVert 1 of 5. Kyrie Irving was 3 of 9 against Hauser. That isolation worked pretty well for them when they attacked that switch. Surprisingly, it doesn't look like the Cavs or Heat or Pacers attacked him as much as they could have. Donovan Mitchell, I guess, did a little bit. He shot 4 or 5 against him, so he went at him. But like Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam didn't target him too much in switches. It was really just Luka and Kyrie who did the most trying to target Hauser in switches, which is interesting considering how many teams did it during the regular season. But Hauser was just solid, man. Him and Pritchard. Pritchard deserves credit too, but I think Hauser's like a legitimately plus defender at this point. Like he is just solid. And I know you laugh, but like when teams are targeting him like that, it turns him into a plus defender, right? Because he's just
Has to be. He has no choice.
down. Yeah.
He's definitely got the size and the physical stature to not be just a revolving door on defense.
Push
Like
over.
Drew
Yeah.
Peterson is someone who has the size, but he's not quite there physically yet. And I think he probably has a future in the NBA. I think he's been good enough in Maine. I think he's been solid in summer league. Like he's shown some signs of being an NBA talented guy. He just needs to bulk up a little bit, which he mentioned that he was doing when we all had him at summer league. It was one of the things he cited as
Yeah.
one of his goals for the upcoming season. And Boston has, I think, kept him around. Like he's going to be part of the training camp. He's going to be competing for a two-way. He's going to be competing with some guys, maybe for the 15 spot. It won't happen, but he'll be in that group, and he'll probably have another year up in Maine. So we don't really need to talk about him as much anymore now that Hauser has signed this deal. But just wanted to put it in perspective how lucky the Celtics got with somebody like Hauser who can knock it down like crazy. He's mastered the no dip three. He has a quick release. He's good moving without the basketball. And he's not somebody you have to fear putting in the game because teams are just going to get free buckets on him. He just makes your offense that much more lethal.
Yeah. 100%. I'm excited to watch him next season. I know I went on Noah's podcast and she said she was her pick for 6th man of the year for the Celtics.
Really?
For not
okay.
yeah. Sorry. That's important context. I should have led with that. We did like who will win every award from like a Celtics lens, like Celtics MVP, Celtics 6th man of the year, and she picked Hauser.
What was her most
I get
bizarre
it.
pick? Not to ruin it for people that might
Mine
want
or
to watch it.
hers?
Hers.
They were all pretty straightforward.
I like when you kind of go at her. It's fun.
Her most improved was Nemi. She picked Jaylen Brown for MVP over Tatum, which
Wow.
I guess, but
Clearly a hater.
yeah,
I can't
said
imagine
that,
anybody hating on Tatum. That's really fucked up. The guy's been the best guy on the team for years. He never takes a bad shot.
Also, in the middle of what you were talking, I saw a Woj notification. I was like, "Oh, what happened?" It's just Tristan Thompson resigned with the Cavs.
I also saw it. I think that's why you laughed. I initially thought you were laughing at me, and I was like, "Damn, that's fucked up."
No, and then you saw Woj.
The Cavs run the East.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, for the audio listeners, actually, I'll save that for the pod. I have a random point. It's
Okay.
more of a pod point. Anyways, let us know what you think
Cool.
of Sam Hauser. I'm pumped to see him next season. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll let Sam take it out.
Hey, thank you very much for listening and watching today. You're on YouTube. That's the only way you're getting this one. So make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any of our daily uploads. The season is right around the corner. Those full pods are coming at you Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Game recaps, once we're back, will be the morning after, and other videos like this one. We'll be here to keep you up to speed, give you all the extra Celtics knowledge to dunk on your friends with. Again, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. You can find us on Spotify and Apple too. All pods and recaps will be up there for you. So if you just want the audio, you can follow us there and they'll go right to your feed. Nice and easy. You can find us via email, hbtcpod@gmail.com. Who else has slept on this team? Tell us. And also send your rat list. hbtcpod@gmail.com is the address. You can find our socials at How About Them C's, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The Facebook is just the name of the pod. We've got shorts going up on all the platforms. The streams, when they're back, are on Facebook. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's at JackSimoneNBA. Mine's at Sam Francis. It's up for us.
Taco, come on.
Taco's having some fun here.
That is bogus. These guys are ridiculous.